Okay, so we have discussed capabilities. We have discussed that we need to work out our strategic capabilities, develop that. But I'm a production company. How would I know what to develop? Hmm. And in order to answer that, we have a model that is called Porter's value chain. Oh, that model looks scary. I do get your skepticism, but you do need to know that for this exam and for APM as well. Okay, Porter's value chain, Porter, the guy that invented half of the models that are studied here, thought, look, customers could have done something themselves. So they could have, let's say, built a desk or a dining table or made a t-shirt themselves. But for some reason, they pay money to you to do that. And when they pay money, so there is a certain price that they will be willing to pay, and you have certain cost, and the difference between this price and cost would give you margin. And margin means profit. So whatever you are going to put in your pocket. Lovely. But how can we increase margin? Hmm. On one hand, we can give extra value to the customer so they would be willing to pay a higher price compared to the cost. And on the other hand, we can try to shrink the cost to optimize them. Well, for example, when we're talking about, let's say, some food, you may be willing to pay extra for your food to be delivered earlier because and as such you are going to be willing to pay over for lunch. You may be willing to pay extra if you dine at a fantastic restaurant that has fantastic decorations. Mhm. So that is how this price aspect is shifted. On the other hand, when we are a producer, like let's say if we are a restaurant that makes sushi, we can buy ingredients in bulk, and as such we will be able to buy fish, to buy avocado, rice at a smaller price compared to a customer. So our cost is going to be lower than whatever a customer would pay. So yes, this margin is going to get stretched even more. Okay, so when we're talking about capabilities and something that we should develop strategically, we are going to talk about inbound logistics. So, inbound logistics is about ordering some materials, uh, storing them, handling them, and so on. In order to do that effectively, we will need software support like warehouse information system that stores the information on whatever we have, or enterprise resource planning system. Now, let's think about how this is connected with capabilities. So maybe we are located in the area where a certain resource is cheap. So imagine that we are located next to, that's where there are many forests. So for us, taking forest can be getting wood may be cheaper than for other countries that don't have much forest, like Iceland. Well, they do have some, they are not allowed to chop it. So in this case, we will have materials that will come cheaper. We can create some competitive advantage in inbound logistics. So, for example, we can talk to supplier and sign agreements that is going to be long term and as such mutually beneficial for them and for us. Then we take operations. If we take an example of sushi maker, well, that person, the sushi master that makes sushi, they're just 3 seconds and the roll is ready. Well, for me, I will have to do that. I will have to try to roll that. It will not work. I will get upset. Okay, it would look weird. Then I will have lots of leftovers. I will have rice lying on the floor, rice lying on the table, and so on. So the company's operations would be more efficient, more effective. The result is going to be prettier. So a company can work on these operations. How can we make this faster? of better quality. Like, for example, if we're making tables, how can we make a table not within, let's say, a day that would take a person to make a table, but let's say within 10 minutes? How can we make a table not just rectangular, but maybe of some weird shape, of some weird color, of more lasting time that would last longer, and so on? So we would look at operations and think about capabilities that we would need to develop here. Okay, then it goes about outbound logistics. So, like for example, you can go and have some food elsewhere, or you can order it. And when you order it, it can be delivered like right away within 15 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, and so on. And that would be important. And the way it is delivered. Well, for example, imagine that you um, order something, a cake, and not only it arrives in a nice package, and there is some ritual of them delivering a cake to you, and so on. You would like that, right? So outbound logistics is everything about storing the product and distribution to customer, like packaging, like testing, like delivery, and so on. And we can work on this aspect to think about what are the capabilities that we need. And so, for example, maybe we need some software which will allow us to plan the logistics pattern so that we wouldn't make circles, so that we would make it the most efficient way. Well, for example, I think it was FedEx, right? So there were two delivery giants, FedEx and UPS, and I think it was FedEx that had a rule that their trucks don't turn left, because when they calculated, when they made analysis, they realized that the greatest number of accidents happens when there is a left turn. And also, left turn takes quite a lot of time. So when they planned their order of deliveries, they planned it this way so that the truck would be just turning right and not left. Fun, right? So, yes, we will try to make it efficient, so the cheapest and of the better quality. Well, maybe for this item, it would be important that the delivery happens within half an hour and not an hour, like when we're talking about business lunch. Yes, I wouldn't like to wait for an hour for it to be delivered. But for some other products, maybe 2, 3 hours is still okay. Like when you are delivering table and it's supposed to be delivered, you don't really care if it happens at 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Marketing and sales. Oh, this is about persuading the customer that the product is the best. Like, you don't only buy iPhone like a phone, but you buy an iPhone, which is an iPhone. Okay, it's not that apparent now, right? But before, at some time, it was kind of like a thing that you have not just a phone, but an iPhone. Or, for example, when we're talking about some bags. So, for example, some Birkin bags, those crazy bags that are sold only if you satisfy the the uh, expectations of a shop assistant. They don't just signal that you have crazy amount of money to pay for the bag, but also that you were selected to be some posh customer. So that is about marketing and sales. So it gives the customers the idea that it is great to buy this product, and it allows and makes them pay higher money. It's not only about quality, it's not only about status, it can be about eco-friendliness. That's why eco-friendly products are usually more expensive. And finally, service. So, service, it's, let's say, about installing whatever you have bought. So, imagine you buy a laptop and a person comes and they help you to install the software that you need. Or imagine that you buy something and you get free upgrades. Or imagine something that you buy something and any free parts are going to be provided to you if you need them, if something gets broken. or if there is an extended warranty. So that is about service. And whatever we have discussed, it's primary activities that that are there in a company. And for these primary activities, we may think about developing certain capabilities. So the great thing that Porter made, well, he actually looked at the business and simplified it to these 5 activities. Now, but actually, organizations work not as activities, they work as the system and they work as departments. So, support activities, it's kind of like departments that help us to make sure that these activities work. It will be procurement. So procurement is going to impact your inbound logistics. Like, for example, a procurement policy on selecting suppliers will help us to make sure that we order only eco-friendly materials and as such customers will be happy. Or we are going to order material of certain quality or certain specifications so that our operations are the most effective and efficient. Human resource management. Well, for example, if we motivate our marketing and sales team, then marketing and sales part, the primary activity is going to work better. Or, for example, outbound logistics is going to work better if we have some policy on, let's say, training in place on how to deliver goods better. Technology development is mostly about software. So it also will be about product design. So anything that can be about research and development. So technology development will make sure that, let's say, we have sound operations, that we have great marketing, and so on. And finally, firm infrastructure. If you don't know what the support activity is, chances are that this is firm infrastructure because it is a broad term saying that we need to have certain planning, finance, quality control, and so on. Well, for example, for you to have extended warranty, and as such, to give this value to the customer, you might need to have more money. And as such, you will need to have greater access to money. And this is the part of support activity, which is firm infrastructure. So, scary story short. Porter looked at the company, defined 5 primary activities in which we can develop some competitive advantage. And then he defined support activities, which kind of like departments, not really, but still. And this is what we need to improve in order to improve our primary activities. And if your costs are cut, and if the value that the customer is willing to buy increases because of these activities, then your margin increases. And you have all these components and these definitions for you to read in your handouts. Yeah, here, here, and here, and here. So take your time. Yep. And yes, it is important to say that activities affect one another. So better product design, which is technology development, will allow us to have better operations, more efficient operations, or maybe more efficient delivery because our product is going to be easier to stock up together and fit in the lorry. And as such, the delivery will be more efficient. Maybe we just need to cut the box by 1 centimeter so that more pallets would fit in. But these linkages require coordination. So, in order to smooth the operations, we're going to talk about that later. So, no worries with that. And yes, the value chain will be needed in order to identify where to develop the competitive advantages. And the value chain, so the value that is going to be created, is actually created not only within the company, but also across the organizations that work together with the company. But how about we are going to talk about that in the next video? So I will see you next.